Hey guys, hope you are having the best day, and I am so excited for you to listen to this awesome episode. We just hosted the High Vibe Women Retreat, and it was amazing. Just the most incredible weekend in Collingwood with such an amazing group of women. And I had a few minutes ahead of time to do some Q&A with my friend Mallory Rowan, who is just an absolutely incredible content creator on all things finance. She does things on personal branding. She's just incredible. And so we went all in on what it means to grow a business online right now, all things personal brand, of course, and everything that she's doing right now to see success online. So this is going to be an awesome episode. And these are the types of speakers we love to bring to our retreats, to High Vibe Women. And so if you are interested in joining us for our next retreat, DM me on Instagram at Kristina.Bartold, the word retreat, and I will send you the details for our Dominican Republic retreat happening November 15th to 19th, leaving from Toronto, all inclusive. Just think retreat, but sun, fun, coconuts probably, but we are just so excited. So give this a listen and let us know what you think.
Hello, everyone. And okay, I'm so excited. I told you guys that we were bringing in a special guest. You knew because we announced in advance. But this is one of my fave peeps, IRL, Mallory. And Mallory and I did a consulting project a few years ago. And I told you guys about this last night. I was absolutely obsessed with her afterwards. Like, I was like, this is the coolest chickie ever. But there's just so many things I love about Mallory. Not only is she just so down to earth, so normal, so chill. But she's accomplished so many great things. And I think what's so amazing is you inspire other people that it doesn't have to be hard. And I think a lot of people look at people who have businesses and lives like you and Josh's, and they're like, oh, you have to do like extraordinary things. And I do think that's the truth. But I also think you have built so much in terms of those like small incremental things and the way that you live and the way you've built your brand. And so like, yeah, I'm just so excited. First, I'm just so excited and grateful you're here because all the way from Toronto, I just appreciate you and love you so much. But you get to pour into these amazing women. So hoping, Mal, that you can tell people a little bit about you and maybe your journey from, early stage business owner as a student, you're hustling hard, you're doing the thing, to what things look like now for you.
Okay, this is what I say to Maria. I was like, this is going to be the intro to my presentation tomorrow. So just like erase it overnight. Yeah. I'll give like the shorter version. Yeah. I knew that I really liked business early on. Like in high school, I planned my prom. I did like all the fundraising events at my school. And then I started working in marketing really early when I was in journalism school because I knew I was interested in it. So I wanted to validate like, hey, do I actually like this space? Started working in corporate, got like really freaked out by cubicle life, like had a meltdown in this stairwell.
Resume? Yeah, amazing.
They were like, do you want to come back next year? And I was like, I just need a minute. I like went in the staircase and cried and called my mom. And she was like, this doesn't seem like a problem. And then I went and took an unpaid internship at a startup instead. So I was like, that seems like a good life decision. But it was way more fun. And it was cool because I had a lot more authority. But then it was a lot of like founder pressure now without any of the founder perks. I eventually started getting paid, but would like have to remind them of my paycheck. And there was just a lot of, it was like 20 dudes in their late 20s and me. And so also it was an interesting environment in hindsight. A lot of just like inappropriateness and all that. Yeah. And so I was building that. And then I actually had a class project that was one where we were really encouraged to actually like work on something we wanted to work on. Carleton University is really great for like their entrepreneurship side. And so they're like, hey, if you're going to put the time into this project, like it might as well be something you want to pursue, or if you already have something. And so this part's always a blur. Like, I don't know why Josh got involved. He wasn't even in the class. So Josh and I,
Josh, not my husband.
Yeah. We're like the same car, the same partner.
Our dogs are like kind of the same breed too. It's weird.
Yeah, so I started this powerlifting brand, and Josh and I were just training partners at the time, and we decided we wanted something that represented the community, and I think the sport was really changing at the time. People really thought of powerlifting as like bald head, like bearded tattoos, and there was a lot of university students, a lot of women, a lot of just more minimalist style people getting into the sport, so we decided to build that community brand. We also started with a bunch of really cool ideas, and we were like, we don't know how to do any of these. Like that was like the subscription box era. So we were like, we could do subscription boxes.
Okay, wait. What would the subscription box be about?
Like fitness stuff, like your protein for the month and all that kind of stuff.
Fab, fit, fun, but less fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Fab Fit Bro edition. Yeah, that was a time where like everything had a subscription box coming left and right. And then we were going to do these like bar grip shirts, which eventually another company did. And then we collaborated with them down the line. But it was like all these things where we were like just two kids who didn't know how to do any of that. And so we decided, why don't we start like a lifestyle brand? And then from there, we can do all these ideas later. And then it really just remained a lifestyle brand because people so connected with the community aspect of it. I think people were really craving that connection. And so we started working with like the top athletes in the sports. We would design different apparel with them, and proceeds from the shirts would go to charities of their choice. We had a social give back model across the business. But I was building that, still working. I kind of jumped. I went like corporate, startup, and then I got an opportunity in corporate from like my old boss where I was like, I could probably do this job in my sleep, and it would mean I could travel and go to powerlifting gyms. And so I kind of weighed everything and went back to corporate. But it was really great for building the business. Like I always say, people should leverage it while they can, because it let me go to a lot of gyms. And I'd be like, I think I need to go to this aviation conference that happens to be down the street from this gym. And then I would go to the conference for like 5 minutes, take a photo and get out of there. I was like, yeah, there was no opportunity. It's crazy. So then I was still working corporate, still building the powerlifting business, competing, which is like 3 hours in the gym at a time, going to physio, all that stuff. She's like, I know. Yeah, it's a lot on the body. And so not shockingly, I ended up burning out really hard from it. But that really forced me to change how I approached it. And that was really like peak Gary Vee era. Like I feel like Gary Vee doesn't even subscribe to what he was saying back then anymore. It was like my screen savers were like, shut up and do it. Like it was like so toxic. But yeah, it really forced me to change how I approached my business. And I wanted to look at like, how can I be still ambitious, but do it in a more sustainable way? So changed things with my business, kind of kept the things that worked, that scaled our business really well, got rid of the things that were running me into the ground. And then from there, I was consulting for a bit and then went on to do a whole online digital business of teaching social media to small businesses because I was consulting a bit with bigger brands and I was like, I don't really care about them. I don't want to help them. I want to help small businesses take advantage of social. So started doing that. And then my partner got his real estate license at the same time and we kept using social to grow that. And then both those businesses, we just put way better boundaries, really thought about like the long run because we had never thought before that we were just two kids making t-shirts. And we hadn't really thought, is this something we want to sell? Like, what does all that look like?
Okay, so many good things there. I think there's a few people in here who are still straddling the corporate girly line, right? And they're trying to figure out next step. One of the things I love about your story that's different than a lot of the stories, we talk about is you didn't burn the boats. You weren't oh, I have this vision and now I'm going to go hard. You went hard, but you weren't I'm now not going to eat and no chicken nuggets for me kind of situation. So curious for you, did you feel that pressure? Because I'm sure, similarly, once you kind of learn about entrepreneurship, it's hard to unsee it, right? You're okay, I want to go all in on this. So how did you maintain that speed of being able to, still work, still do these things, but then also balance for the future?
When I was still doing the corporate?
Yeah.
I think the big thing was just looking at everything as leverage. I find people talk about quiet quitting now. And I would say that at the time, do you guys know what that is? Yeah. Just kind of not giving a shit about your job, which I was CEO of at the time, where it's just not being emotionally invested in it, I think is really big of leaving it at the door. I would do stuff on my work hour. I'd be super, super efficient at my job so that I could use some of the other hours to do things. And I think really just looking at does it make sense to leverage this? Do I feel better building when I have this safety? So I had a salary, I had really great health benefits. And so it covered me and my partner. And then when I ended up quitting, he had a job that had health benefits. So we kind of extended that a little bit. And things my phone was paid for, right? I got to do this travel that I was talking about. So I really believe sometimes it's just getting rid of the ego. I think ego is such a negative word, but it really is. Sometimes you just want to be in a room like this and say yes, I do my business full time. But sometimes it's really great to be able to have that thing that creates the security while you figure it out. I would say for the most part, I probably had way more fun when I was building it on the side because once the financial pressure on the creativity started, I was oh, this is a little more pressure, a little less exciting. So I think really looking at that leverage, and I find there's just started to get to a point where I was starting to be more anxious of like, I have so much to do in the business now. Like there's so much there that every hour I'm not working on it seems like a waste.
Yeah.
But there was a long time where I could get it done in the evening, right? You are learning things. You're not necessarily sending the same amount of marketing out, or you don't have as many products. Like we started with wristbands actually for one event, but then it was like one t-shirt, a t-shirt and a sweater, right? By the end, we were doing like 12-piece collections and more. But you're not doing that right out the gate, right? And I think it's good to see if you like it, because it's hard to know if you like it if you've already put the pressure of like, this has to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, when you like grip something so tight and then it like the creativity is gone, you're not having fun doing it anyway. But then now your whole like financial livelihood is dependent on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mallory hates when I talk about this, but Mallory,
What are you gonna say?
Okay, so what would you title yourself if someone was like, Mallory, like what's your title?
You know, it's so funny. I was having this conversation this morning because somebody asked me, and then Josh and I were doing this whole discussion of like creator versus founder versus business owner versus like influencer. Like, what are the differences between those things? I just say I'm self-employed.
Me too.
It feels like the easy way out. Because to date, most of my business has been just under my name too.
Right.
So to be like, I'm the founder of myself feels weird.
Yeah.
Now I could say like founder of Fun Club, which helps a little bit. But yeah, I just say like I'm self-employed.
Yeah.
And I make content. Depends what room is asking. Sometimes I'm like, I work in marketing.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, Mallory does a whole bunch of different types of stuff, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But a lot of stuff with financial education, that's been like huge for you. You have Fun Club, which Nikki's a member of. So again, all that stuff will be covered. But then you also do a lot of stuff like on Instagram, on social. You do brand deals.
Yeah.
One time we were doing this for a VIP night and I was like, Mallory, like you do a lot of brand deals. She's like, I don't do a lot of brand deals. And I was like, no. Oh, sorry. She's like, yeah, like I don't do a lot of brand deals. And then now every time I see one, I'm like, oh, is this not a brand deal? And now we've come to terms with the fact she does.
I do more brand deals. At the time, I wasn't really doing many. I think it's all relative, right? Like maybe I'm comparing to creators and you're maybe comparing me to business owners.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
She's just trying to get out of this one, but that's fine. So how would you say your personal brand, and I've seen your audience grow significantly, right? I think like, you know, when you and I first got connected, I think you were like around like 20K and now you're like so higher and you're
No, I was just thinking actually the event we were at is when I started going like really crazy viral, because I remember going home to the hotel and like editing my videos and stuff.
Yeah. So like I'm an OG Mallory fan. That's what I'm saying. But now, you know, you've over 100 plus, you're doing stuff on TikTok, you're doing all different types of things. What would you say your personal brand has had to do with that as you've been growing it? Like, cause you've had many pivots. And I think a lot of people, when they're growing a business, they're like, okay, I am a burnout coach. Like that is all I do is I'm a burnout coach. And then they're like, wait, I love to teach breathwork and yoga. Someone in here, I'm you know, leveraging this stuff. And I love to help
She like points right at you.
Yeah. Mal cries. Or like I love to like, you know, help people with their nutrition, and there's all these different pillars, right? And even though you see them weave together, I know a lot of people can sometimes look at that stuff and be like, oh, like, is that random? Like, but you've had this, like, you know, you have this powerlifting brand, and then you're also, yesterday you were teaching at Apple, and like, you know, then you're doing brand deals with purses. So it's like, you know, you're kind of doing lots of different things. How has your personal brand supported that?
Yeah, I think, okay, early on, when we kind of hit a wall where I burnt out and then also realized like, okay, where do we want to take this business? It really forced me to think about building boredom into my business in the next one, because I feel like, I don't know if other people can relate to this. Like if you don't have that feeling of there was one thing I was meant to do, it can sometimes feel like that thing is maybe always around the corner, but it's like a bad dream where like you can't find the corner to turn. And I think once I finally let go of that and was just like, it's okay to like change and to get bored and want to do different things, I looked at how could I build that into my actual business model inside. So like I was doing group coaching, but already had a plan to move it into a course format, because I know that like I'll get sick of saying the same lessons over and over.
Right.
So it's like I launched them as workshops and then courses, and really intentionally thought about that in like the behind the scenes business, because I think that's a big part of personal brand. If you're really stuck to selling something, it becomes this like chokehold on how you are showing up online. Even right before we met, that was actually that year I was like, I need to let go of the idea that the content has to funnel to the business. And I just want to post what I want to post. And then that's when I really was taking off, because I was just doing all that extra jumping through my head of like, and then how does this have to do with people should build their business on Instagram?
Right.
So I think like building the boredom in was really important for me. And I think a personal brand like allows you to pivot so much and it allows you to evolve, and personal brands should be personal. So people like get to know you, I think, on a different level than when you just present yourself as a coach of X or whatever it might be. And so it's like the message behind everything is the same as when I was posting squats and like just being really honest of like my squats sucked today. Right. And carrying those through lines of like, this is who I am. This is how I move through the world. And then people just want to see the world through your eyes and they want to evolve with you. I think it's like anything. Like I was thinking about this the other day, you know, when like Instagram back in the day would update the user, like the user face, and we'd be like, we didn't need this update. Like this is stupid. They moved the buttons. But then now you see a screenshot of old Instagram and you're like, oh my gosh, that looks archaic. Like good thing it's evolved. So I think that's what you want to do too, whether it's in your business or in your personal brand, allow that evolution, because otherwise you will accidentally end up behind, whether that's in just you not enjoying what you're doing, or also everybody else has moved forward in life and they're like, oh, I used to follow Kristina because I used to care about that thing that she talks about.
Totally. No, I love that, because I think you are so like multifaceted in the things that you're doing. So it's so amazing that you've been able to like bring people along. What do you think is the key to success on that, on bringing people along? Because I know for a lot of people, it's like they get fearful of like trolls or like people who
getting trolled right now.
You're getting trolled right now?
Yeah. Side story. No, it's actually fun. It's just like old people that hate their life. I tried on. It's like it makes me sad for them. And I'm not even just saying that. It's like I posted, this is a side story.
No, please.
I posted trying on 9 dresses, okay? Thank you. Yeah, it went really positive and then it went this way and now it's coming back to positive. But like people just be like, ugh, all horrible. And I'm like, maybe just like don't comment. And sometimes I would say like, maybe you could just keep that to yourself. And they'd be like, well, then you shouldn't post on the internet if you're this soft. And I was like, oh, I just thought it was like a little rude. Like, also, my caption was like, what's your fave? Not like, do I look hideous and everything, you know? But anyways, you're saying people are scared of that?
Yeah. So how do you manage that, like, as your audience has grown so much, right? And like, no, because I think it's like people are fearful of it on a smaller scale. Like, I think, you know, like your aunt is going to think of something, or, you know, I know I'm always fearful of the pivot. I remember like between the Social Snippet and High Vibe Women, I'm like, are people going to think this is random? And then I had a moment, I was like, nah, who the fuck cares? You know, and now, could you imagine that Maria and I were like, well, we're not going to do it because we're scared of what our Instagram followers are going to think. Yeah. So I try to keep close to that. But for you, like, what has been kind of the key there?
I think sometimes we feel like we have to like announce the change too, right? Same like we launch a new website, we're like, here's the new website. And I think giving yourself permission to not announce, like if you were like, giving people the behind the scenes of like, this is where I stand with Social Snippet now and I'm launching this new thing. You didn't. You just said, I'm doing this event, come hang. And all the people that were already connected with you are like, amazing, I want to come to this, right? And if Social Snippet slowly goes away one day, like, yes, like the clients would, I'm saying like if you sell it for $1 bajillion is what I mean. But in a way, like it wouldn't be missed when we look at your personal brand.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? Your clients would maybe miss it, but they'd stay on with, you know, the new owner or whatever.
Yes, they would.
Like it's in your contract.
Yeah.
But I think on the personal brand, people would just be like, I love that she's doing this full time now. Yeah. So I think a lot of the times when we try to step into a phase, we feel like we have to make it really official, whether that's for us or for the audience. And so I just like to kind of like slowly ease into it because you can straddle both, right? I would say right now I'm kind of straddling 2 worlds of still doing like business coaching, and I have a workshop coming up about how to start a business, but then I've kind of moved into this like personal finance space a little bit more. And maybe there's a world where eventually I'm just here, but I don't have to make that decision, right? I can come in and out. And I think people enjoy that. And I think people evolve too, right? So they want to see it from other people. What did you ask me? How to pivot? I was like, did I answer it?
Yeah, I did. Well, what's interesting about that concept is like, I think it's so contrary to something that we talk about in business all the time, which is like building the light all the time. Like, you know, how you want to be showing people the behind the scenes. But sometimes like, I'm a huge believer in that because I think that builds a lot of hype. And I think part of High Vibe Women's hype has always been like, I'm like, look, like, seeing a venue, like, look, swag bag, you know, and I think people are in on it because I want to make, you know, it's not a me Maria thing, it's like an everyone thing. But I also think when you're in a season where you're sensitive to other people's perceptions of you, you don't need to let everyone have access to you.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I remember when I first shared about my burnout, people were like, wow, you're so brave. And I was like, no, this was 2 years ago. I'm just okay now.
Yeah.
Like I never would have in the moment. Like
Yeah.
you were not getting posts from me because you're so in it, right? And you actually are, the small energy you have for that maybe is going towards actually trying to book the appointment and like healing. And so you don't have to be that vulnerable. I actually find lately it's been an interesting shift for me because I've always been so open book, but some of the opportunities I'm moving into are like a little less open book. Like we moved to Toronto a year and a half ago. Normally I would be like talking about all that, showing the apartments, but we had a real estate team in Ottawa. So I didn't want to like cut off Josh's legs of people being like, oh, these people are leaving. And we had a plan behind the scenes where we were merging with another team. It's like all these things happening behind the scenes.
Yeah. And
so it's been an interesting challenge for me of like, oh, how do I want to show up in a way that's still transparent and like I like to be like a little like what's under here, you know? But
she's lifted a skirt. You missed the hand gesture.
It gave skirt, but I was thinking like just under the hood.
It gave skirt.
I just meant under the hood of a car. But yeah, it's like you have to maybe change. And sometimes it's like deciding. You can have phases where it's more vulnerable or not. Because also we can make pivots that don't have to be super vulnerable. It can just be, I'm really excited about this next thing, right? Yeah, and I think that's okay too. I think the biggest thing, like I kind of do this naturally and I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but I almost like disassociate that my real life people are like on social media.
Yeah, totally.
Like I'll go to something in person and someone will mention, they're like, oh, you've had a crazy week. And I was like, how do you know that? I'm like, I didn't tell you that.
Yeah.
But it kind of does help because then you're not thinking about the people who might judge it. And being in this for a long time, like a lot of the people that love to hate early on or judge from afar, or you have the feeling maybe they're like sending the group chat messages, they always come around and they're like, hey girl, would love to grab coffee, have some questions of how to do my own thing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's such an interesting thing of like trying to figure out the balance of, you know, caring and also not caring. And I've definitely had that experience too, where like I've been so like, oh, like I wonder if like we're being criticized, or I wonder if people don't like this. And then it always turns out to be like those people are they're fans in the waiting, you know, like it always ends up turning out that way.
Yeah. Or I think of it too, if you were in this room right now and there was like 3 people with bad energy, like I probably would avoid them and not really talk to those people. Yeah. And that's those people online. So if you were in a room, you wouldn't give them any time of day. You'd just be like, oh, those are not my people. But then online we hear it. And I think sometimes it just taps into something insecure, you know, like
totally.
It's something we were maybe already thinking about ourselves or worried about, like if, you know, that who does she think she is? Maybe you're just scared to step into the next thing, and knowing somebody's maybe talking about it, just like you're like, shoot, that's validating that they're right. But then you just got to keep going step by step. And for me, it's always like, I just need one person to be like, I took this one little thing from you and it helped me, and then I'm happy for a year, you know?
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like saving those wins too. That's like a huge piece for like me, is like, because I was when we started our business, if I got any negative feedback, I would be like, shut her down, shut her down. This business is done. I don't want anything to do with this anymore. And then now I'm like, okay, like what do we own in that? What does that person own in that? Like I'm in just such a different space because I'm so much less sensitive, and I have so many proof of results like that I'm able to like pull on so fast of like people have given us compliments, or people saying a retreat's changed your life, or whatever. You're able to like really lean into those things.
I actually think you also don't receive that much of the bad comments as you think. A lot of it is just comments of people. Okay. Specific example. When we had our t-shirt company, like Josh's uncle, who's very successful in business, was like, you should make t-shirts and put like flags of immigrant countries on it, because like all the immigrants in Canada would buy that. And it's just like this crazy idea where like that has nothing to do with my brand. And you get a lot more of those, of people being like, you should do a cheetah shirt. And so it actually just helps you figure out more and more what you want to be. Yeah. And you get like more and more confident of like, no, that's definitely not the direction we're going. And so I think you actually get more of those kind of comments, and it just helps you figure out more like, this is what I want the business to be. Like even in launching Fund Club recently, like we just launched an investing membership community, and you know, it was a good process because people will like, most of that's through asking questions, but it's similar of like, they're like, is it this? You can be really clear of, no, it's this. And it helps you get clearer on what it is and who it is for.
Yeah, no, I love that. My husband Joshua has like the craziest ideas for our business. Like,
and you're like, that's great, sweetie.
Yeah, I'm like, thank you so much for your perspective. But he'll be like, hear me out. High Vibe Women Vegas. I'm like, goes against the whole thing. But I hear you. You just go to Vegas as a group. That's fine. It's just, we're not going to run a 250 person event in Vegas. So it's yet. Yeah. He has his own things. Okay, Matt, one last question before we head off to dinner. And again, so grateful to you for being here. And one, we're going to do a lot of stuff all together, but wanted to start this off for you to get to know Mallory a little bit. What do you think is key for people to know right now if they want to make personal branding a priority in 2026?
Oh, you just have to throw the spaghetti on the wall. I would say more than anything, like no matter what year it is. There was a quote that I had on my computer screen all of last year.
Shut up and do it.
No. Imagine it's come back around.
You're like, you just got to grind 24/7, guys.
Okay, let me see what it is. It was like either lower your ambition or increase your tolerance for discomfort. And that really hit me because it made me feel like a loser in a good way. You're like, yeah, I just have to get a little more uncomfortable. And I think that's the big thing is the faster you throw the spaghetti at the wall, the sooner you'll figure out what that voice actually is. And I've always used powerlifting as an example for this. If like we were both going to compete and we wanted to compete, you're going to be the good one in this scenario.
Okay, yeah. Oh my God.
We both wanted to compete at nationals next year. And I'm like so nervous. I just want to practice. I never sign up for a meet. And then I just want to go to nationals. And then you decide I'm going to do 5 or 6 meets between now and nationals. So I can get comfortable getting on the platform. I can like figure out the cues, what changes on game day. Who do you think is probably going to have a better meet at nationals? Like the one who has more data points, right? So I think if you can really turn it into an experiment and go like, well, if a post flops, that's data.
Yeah.
Like and it's also allowed to suck sometimes. Like sometimes I put out things to this day that I like and I go like, well, that sucks. People don't feel the same way. But then sometimes it like picks up weeks later, right? So if you just keep putting other stuff out there, it might just be that one time something does take off. And then the people that really resonate with it have all this bulk of content to really like get to know you from.
Yeah, love that. Okay, Mallory, thank you so much. Guys, we are about to go for dinner and we are going to have the most delicious dinner. And you'll get to know Mallory even better at dinner and be able to get to know all of you as well. So thank you so much. And let's go to dinner. So fun.